The following steps will help you on finding some of the most basic communication problems. Before starting any troubleshooting, it is very important to take into consideration all safety guidelines in order to avoid injuries and possible damages to components sensitive to static electricity. Please use a wrist strap or proper grounding when working with any electrical board. Make sure to shut down power and air and place all safety blocks and locks as needed over any moving part of your machine. Failing to follow basic safety procedures could result in serious injuries. When power and air is needed for any of the troubleshooting section, please take all necessary cautions and always keep in mind that this equipment shall only be repaired or troubleshot by qualified technicians. The replacement of parts without following the proper procedures could add more problems to what you intend to fix. We kindly recommend that you do not replace any device unless you are absolutely sure why you must replace it. Any device being replaced within the communication link without following proper procedures will make the troubleshooting a lot more difficult. Before we start troubleshooting any communication problem, it is important to locate each component within the communication link. At the rear of the computer, we find all of the communication ports going out to each of the devices. Inside the computer, there are some interface cards that will connect with each of the components around the machine. These cards are the C-level that communicates with the microDACs and DSPs, and Opto22 Mystic that communicates with heat tunnel control, simple motors, and ACRA when included. The devices around the machine, such as motion controllers or DSPs, microDAC, Opto22 heat tunnel controller, and simple motor drives are the devices we need to be familiar with. The main question should be, which device is having communication problems? Had any of the touchscreen color bars turned yellow or red? Just looking at the touchscreen or the component itself could immediately identify some of these problems. When all bars are green, it is an indication that all components are communicating properly. A yellow bar indicates that Ballerina is trying to communicate with that particular component. A red bar indicates that a device or devices have been intentionally disabled. On Ballerina version 9.5 and higher, there is a tool for troubleshooting the heat tunnel control and the other communication devices. When seeing a yellow bar on any of the touchscreen buttons, click on Tools to open up the menu. On there, you could select Communication Status or Embedded Controllers. The Communication Status will show which device is failing to communicate, while the Embedded Controllers tab will give you more details about communication errors. You should be familiar with the operation of each of these communication devices to help you easily determine any malfunction. The analog and digital Opto22 bricks are the easiest devices to troubleshoot when having communication problems. The 4 LEDs on the front of the bricks will help you see the status of them. When these bricks are operating properly, the Run LED on the left will be solid on. The XMIT and Receive LEDs will flash back and forth, indicating that data is being transmitted and received. When Ballerina is up and the XMIT and Receive LEDs are not flashing back and forth, it is an indication that the board is not communicating. If the IRQ LED on the right is on, it is an indication of error. The microDACs could also be troubleshot by looking at the status LEDs. There are 4 LEDs in front of the unit: the Error LED, OK, RXD, and TXD. In normal operation, the OK LED will flash indicating normal function. The RXD and TXD LEDs will momentarily flash as an indication of transmission and reception of data. The Error LED being on is an indication of error. One of the most common communication problems is usually due to faulty connection between the PC and the devices at the other end. Please be sure that every connection within the communication link is properly seated at each end of the link. Connections such as the Y cable inside the DSP's enclosure could be easily damaged by pulling on the wires rather than pulling the phone modular connector. Once we finish our troubleshooting and we determine that a device must be replaced, it is important to remember that before you run the machine with it, this new device needs to be properly addressed and the software for it needs to be loaded. To find the settings for the correct address, please refer to the proper BE schematics page. Find the dip switches and/or jumper settings on each of the components to ensure proper addressing. It is also very important that termination resistors are placed on each communication line and/or any of the devices we are troubleshooting. Make sure that any unused cable is removed to avoid improper functions and/or electrical noise. If after following these procedures you were not able to solve the communication problem, please do not hesitate to contact our service department at area code 509-248-0194. And thank you for letting us serve you.